Alrighty. This is going to be a two-part video. The video will be a Soulcalibur V review, and the next video will be about fighting game developers who ignore their fans and pay the price because of it. So make sure you check that video out after this one. I have gotten into Soulcalibur V for the Xbox 360. I've played everything, and all I have to do now is get to level 99 and walk however many feet I need to get 1000 gamer score. These are my opinions, and don't feel offended if I don't see things in the same way as you might, but that was really bad. The graphics were good, online mode was good, the amount of stages are good, the character customization is good, and that's about it. There are so many negative aspects of the game that outnumber all the positives. It feels like I was playing an unfinished version of the game. It feels like they simply didn't try. Gameplay in Soulcalibur 4, characters had so many moves and I could do so many combos. I even made 2 charge cancel videos, because the gameplay felt a lot better. In Soulcalibur 5, it is just torture. So many moves were taken out. You can barely even do a decent combo. They can't make the game like Tekken, but they try to make it like Street Fighter. Tekken has no ring outs, no meters, but you could still do tons of combos. With Soulcalibur 5 you can only do like 1 per character. That's so dumb. And it feels like I'm playing a glorified guessing game because of what moves characters have to resort to. The Brave Vision meter system is stripped from Capcom fighting games, so now Soulcalibur lost its identity, its uniqueness, from other fighting games. It's trying to be a game that it's not. It feels like a Capcom wannabe, a pretender. And I don't like that, especially because it fails. The roster. Let's all be honest. It sucks. They took out a lot of characters that people cared about and replaced them with these one-dimensional cardboard cutouts of warriors whom we're never even properly introduced to. No development at all. Who is Natsu? Who is Eva? Who is Leija? How are we supposed to know what relationships they have with these characters that they've replaced? Why should we have to learn about these new characters on Facebook? Why couldn't they just develop them with an actually decent arcade mode? The only 2 new characters that they formally introduced us to are Patroclus and Purha. Patroclus is an annoying little bitch, and Purha is just a terrible character. Even Ezio Auditore, he made the box art, but there's no real reason for him to be in the game. He gets no story as well, and it doesn't even look like him. Not to mention only Europeans and Asians are in the game. So the only black guy in the series, he's not in. The only Filipino in the series, she's not in. 3 Koreans in the series, and neither of them were made in. The fake geisha gets her style unprofessionally stolen by one of the Athenian fighters. And any other characters who didn't make the game were too old, even though you're capable of fighting Siegfried from 17 years ago, which makes their reason to get rid of them complete bullshit. The story mode isn't even a story at all. It's a series of 20 matches, with awful voice acting, English and Japanese alike, where all that happens is Patroclus finds his long-lost sister and they get rid of both Soulcalibur and Soul Edge. The series of events makes no sense, and the ending is just terrible. The story is just that bad and half-assed. And again, why is the final boss a blonde angelic fighter? I don't understand why Japanese devs make blonde goddesses be the last bosses in their games. It's so unoriginal and stupid. What on earth did they do to kill it? Why does Soulcalibur pretend to be sufficient? Why 3-minute characters? I am just disgusted with this lazy work and they make shit up as they go. And I'm sure tons of other players want Cassandra and Sufisha back. They want the old Gillett back, they want all these characters back, because they were actually important people and Namco made them important. We had all these years playing as them and learning about their backstories and personalities, only for them to get scrapped for these characters we know absolutely nothing about. I thought this game was supposed to be dedicated to the fans. I read all these messages to Daishi Adashima to keep Zazalamal, keep Talum, keep Setsuka, keep Senmina, and he failed to listen. We asked for all kinds of modes from past games, and they pretend like we don't exist. I mean, why bother having a Twitter account when you don't even read what we think should be in the game? It's not like we play this game for free. If Daishi wanted to alter the game so much, he should have given us what we asked for and modified his copy to his liking, because this is practically a kick to the walls for people who have played Soul games since Soul Blade. Tekken doesn't get altered that much. They actually expand Tekken. Why can't Soulcalibur expand too? It's always changed, but it's never add. They should know better than this. Here's an idea for Soulcalibur 6. Sufficient wakes up from the bad dream known as Soulcalibur V. Okay. You got the idea. Soulcalibur V, it's awful. It's nothing like Soulcalibur 4, it's much worse. It barely has anything we've asked for. It's like these developers just make the games for themselves and seem to forget they're making a game on the market for $60 or £40 or whatever. They believe they matter so much more than the consumer that they can do whatever they want with a product. They think they know so more about what consumers want than the consumers themselves. You never know more than the consumer, and it disrespects the consumer. So it leads to asking me this. Why do fighting game developers ignore their fans? Maybe it's because our requests go against their plans, or maybe it's because it's, quote, too much work. It's not like we asked for entirely different games. Soulcalibur 5 had 5 games before it. Daishi said, oh, we want change. We don't want things to be the same. Well, yeah, some change is necessary, but skipping the game 17 years, killing off a third of the roster, butchering the story and pretending like the events from past games never even happened isn't. Super Smash Bros. Brawl came out in 2008. Still great, still fun. The producer is Masahiro Sakurai, and some of his decisions for the game rather irk me. You've got a cast of characters in all shapes and sizes, but I don't quite get the balancing of the game, to be honest with you. One of the new characters in Brawl is Meta Knight. He's fast, he has a far reach, an high attack rate, and all these things make him very overpowered and overrated. Whether or not it's because Sakurai produces the Kirby series and created Meta Knight, but he also got his own victory tune that secondary characters such as Bowser and Zelda didn't get in the game. Last year he was banned from tournaments. Don't get me wrong, we all wanted Meta Knight, but not a handicapped one. Secondly, there was a Pokemon that was taken out of the game that pissed off a majority of the fan base. They took out Mewtwo, who is a very semi-popular Pokemon, and in his place, they added this fighting dog Pokemon, who in my opinion is overrated. This third decision makes the least amount of sense to me. Out of all the new characters in the game, none of them are female characters. There was one female character that was highly demanded to be put in the game, and she is Crystal from the Star Fox series. She uses a magic staff and can also use gadgets like Fox and Falco, but she doesn't need to because she had potential to be a totally separate character. Not only did she have uniqueness, but she's also a female, and not only that, but she's got sex appeal. She was a great candidate to be put in Brawl, but unfortunately, Sakurai didn't see things that way. So instead of Crystal, we got fucking Wolf. An overrated dog Pokemon. And Wolf. Really? Nintendo wasn't the only developer that's done some screwing. A short while ago, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 committed one of the biggest screw jobs in history, as Mega Man was not playable in the game or its deluxe version. And it's very obvious that it was Ryota Naoyama and his ego who done it. Mega Man could be in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom and even Street Fighter Cross Tekken, but not Marvel vs. Capcom 3? It may not be a big deal, but that douchebag should have considered it. Without Mega Man, he probably wouldn't be where he is today. Balance is also an issue in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Mr. Ego, aka Naoyama, happens to be a big Devil May Cry and Resident Evil fan, considering how buff Dante, Wesker, and Virgil are. Since they got so many moves and buffs, why doesn't Tron, or Amaterasu, or MODOK? It makes me wonder why they put these characters in the game while they put a lopsided amount of focus on a select group of characters that they themselves enjoy. The next game I want to talk about is BlazBlue. BlazBlue is still a rather young fighting game series, but that doesn't excuse them that they can't actually expand the game once in a while. There was Calamity Trigger. There was Continuum Shift, which added 3 characters. Continuum Shift 2, which added 3 more characters. Then Continuum Shift 3, which adds just 1 character. So we got 3 different games who all have the same story, but the only difference is that they are only a few more characters from the last installment. When is it time for that official sequel? Don't get me wrong. I own Continuum Shift and it had a lot of content in it. But can they just make BlazBlue 3 already? Can they move on from this new 12 shit? And can they stop it with all the over-dramatic voice acting? The only voices I liked were Tager's, Terumi's, and Teikaka's. Lastly, I will talk about Tekken. As I said before, this is the series that Soulcalibur needs to be more like. They add, they expand, and when they need to change something or take something out of the game, they actually have a reason to. The problem with Tekken though is that they try making it look realistic, while the gameplay is not realistic. It's also no secret how Katsuhiro Harada, the producer of Tekken, is madly obsessed with Lily. She is a 7-foot-tall 14-year-old blonde-haired blue-eyed plastic bitch who does unrealistic flippy moves and is very easy to control. Generally, why do Japanese people believe that blonde-haired people can do anything? Specifically, how can they imply some high school sex pot is more acrobatic than people like Paul Phoenix, Raven, King, etc. when she contributed nothing to the series? Fortunately, one franchise stands out above the rest, and that is Mortal Kombat. Not because Mortal Kombat is the only current fighting franchise from America, but they actually get their act together when they needed to. Mortal Kombat 9 came out last year. It was a very good and balanced game with tons of material. Aegis didn't hold them back, time didn't hold them back, not even bankruptcy held them back. They listened to our opinions and they delivered. We were tired of the broken, boring 3D gameplay and we wanted the franchise to go back to its roots, and that's just what happened. I don't understand why these Eastern developers can't understand as good as the Western developers. Capcom and Namco and the other Japanese companies say, oh, we know how to make the best games for our Western demographics. Please. You have no idea of the games we like to play until you play these games for yourselves. Play Skyrim, play Red Dead Redemption, play Mortal Kombat. Hardly any of these gameplay aspects run on a meter or a gauge. Hardly any of these games don't have women with giant breasts and transparent personalities. You'll know what us Americans see in games when you play the games we enjoy. These games may not be popular in Japan, but this way you can compare between the Eastern and Western tastes in games so you can make a game that could please everybody down the road.